All right, this isn't just about seats, right? It's what happens inside of childcare programs. Decades of research led by Nobel laureate James Heckman shows that high quality early care and education returns at least 13% per every dollar invested in early care and education. This is through better academic outcomes, higher lifetime earnings, and better physical health. Quality is inseparable from the people who deliver it. Many of them are here tonight. We heard earlier that what Wisconsin pays its early educators, and you cannot build a classroom or a workforce that can't afford to stay. I was a teacher myself, and I'm not a teacher anymore because I couldn't afford it. When the teacher at Toddler Trust leaves for a job that pays more, that child loses the very relationship the research shows matters most. And the benefits aren't reaching everyone. With only 60% of slots affordable under Wisconsin shares, against a 75% statutory target, and infant seats scarcest of all, the children who would benefit most from high quality early care and education are least likely to face it. And as Ruth mentioned earlier, our family child care providers who are holding up infant care, rural care, and also care for shift workers are finding it more and more difficult to continue to provide, to operate their businesses. So this is the last policy question tonight. You guys have talked some about your plans to fund early care and education. We know that the problems are pretty significant, right? So I want to hear what your plans are to, with ongoing money and the state, specific ongoing money, what sources of funding will you actually use to pay for this? And also if there's anything else you want to wrap up in terms of talking about the workforce, or any other challenges that you all talk about tonight.
One thing you brought up was the investments and the return on that investment in early childhood education. And we just do a terrible job as society at investing in things that work or produce results because they're a little bit more difficult to implement. But we can't run away from good solutions to terrible problems because it's difficult. Like I just had a conversation with somebody about homelessness and the fact that it costs us more to have people unhoused on the streets than it does to actually house them. Issues like treatment and alternative diversions that save us money on the back end when a person has an opportunity to go into a treatment program because they've committed an offense, a nonviolent offense, saves us money on the back end, and we don't spiral out of control just spending money on things that don't work as we have been doing for so long. And even the money that is invested in early childhood education, as it produces more money on the back end, the fact that we have not invested that money has cost us so much year over year over year, generation over generation. What has also cost us money is these tax loopholes that have been allowing the most wealthy in our society to get away without paying their fair share, whether it's Foxconn or whether it's $2 billion in subsidies for data centers. This costs us money, whether it's the agriculture manufacturing tax credit that sees the bulk of the benefit going towards large corporate farms, not our family farmers, and out-of-state corporations instead of small businesses in Wisconsin. We have been taken advantage of for far too long. The money is there. It is being spent wrong. It is not being prioritized in terms of supporting our young people, our youth, and our future. I fully believe that the resources are there because we've seen it spent elsewhere in places where it shouldn't be spent or in places where people already have obscene levels of wealth. So those tax subsidies have to go. We have to tax billionaires and legalize marijuana.
This is a broad question of how Wisconsin and how we will lead. And all of you, despite all the best efforts, can recognize Wisconsin is behind where others have been when it comes to childcare. We have the example of what's happened in New Mexico. They put a flag down in 2019 and said, we'll have universal childcare by 2025. It's now happened. The state of New Jersey, the state of Vermont that we have talked about doing a payroll tax. It's like there are others. The state of Michigan, where there is a tri-share program. We haven't really talked about this. We have talked a lot about state investment. Businesses have a responsibility to pay for this too. And there are other states that are doing that better than Wisconsin. And we can start to implement those things here. If we are in a position where we want to be a leader again. Now, the thing that has been heartening to me, I have visited lots of daycares, and I have done that, I probably have done a dozen of those over the course. I launched my campaign the first day I went to Neighborhood House where my kids were. But you know what I've also done? I've talked to chambers of commerce. In the Chamber of Commerce in Eau Claire, they put childcare at the top of their list around what are the things that are keeping them from being able to grow businesses in that state. Like all of this stuff, you have been lonely in your advocacy sometimes. I used to say to people, you need more people with suits and ties there. The K-12 people, they have that, but you're getting that as advocates. And now you're going to have a legislature and you're going to have a governor who know about these things and who can be your advocate along the way. And so, yes, we need to make sure that we are doing those things over the long term. I mentioned already that, we can spend, as much as we can spend $100 more per capita than Minnesota does on our corrections, or we can invest those upstream and take all the benefits that that's going to do over the course of a generation. Yes, absolutely, we should legalize, regulate, tax marijuana, and take the benefits of that. Making sure that we can make investments like that is going to pay off for us over the long term and be the Wisconsin we want to be.
I really appreciate this question. So when you think about how we're going to fund it, I think some of the money is already there, right? I remember when I was in the legislature, it was about an $86-90 billion budget, and now we're at $111 billion. And I know the state of Wisconsin has not grown that damn much. And so we know that some of the money is there, but there are things that we need to do locally as well. One, let's continue the commutation program that Governor Evers has put in place, right? Where we're able to keep people out of the prison system and also implement criminal justice reform, which is costing us $50,000 per adult. And if you think about it per child, it has changed now, but we were spending close to $400,000 to send a child to Lincoln Hills a year. Just put that in perspective as far as what we could be doing with our young people. So commutations and criminal justice reform is one way to find these dollars. The other thing that we need to do is we need to repeal many of the Walker era tax breaks that he has put into place. Whether we're talking manufacturing and agriculture, but many of these businesses who are making hand over fist, they need to be paying their fair share. If we can have businesses spending millions of dollars in campaigns, right? There's no reason why they can't spend millions of dollars on our children and the workforce that they're going to need in the next couple of years. Because I truly believe when it comes down to early childhood education, when it comes down to education in general, not just about our children, it's the biggest workforce development program that we actually have to make sure that they're thriving. Because health isn't just mental and physical. Money in your pocket is health. Having a roof over your head is health. Public transportation is health. All these things contribute to our overall health and well-being. And I truly believe that the more we're able to invest in early childhood education, the more we'll be able to invest, the less that we'll have to invest in the criminal justice system long-term.
Legislation that I am incredibly proud to say has support from every single Democrat in the legislature is healthy school meals for all. But there's one problem with this bill of mine is that it doesn't extend to early childhood centers. I would like to see this bill actually extend to early childhood so that we can help our child care centers and our providers actually have funding from the state for healthy snacks and for healthy breakfast and lunch. Eliminating the Wisconsin Manufacturers and Agricultural Tax Credit to make sure that it isn't benefiting the largest corporations and the largest manufacturers will actually help pay for healthy school meals for all for at least 2 sessions. In addition to everything that has been mentioned here, I think that it's important that we think about how this will be instituted, with what sense of urgency and what kind of leadership is actually required to make sure that this gets done in the first budget session. And I think about our neighbors in Minnesota. They stayed hyper-disciplined, very much like I have to be in restaurants. I'm a chef by background. And you need to make sure you're going into Friday service with your prep list finished and ready for whatever may come. But I think if knowing bills like healthy school meals for all, like paid leave, legalizing marijuana, making sure that we are eliminating corporate loopholes, tax credits for the wealthiest, having an actual fair tax system. These are things that in lockstep, I believe centering efficiency while also encouraging innovation in our state agencies and having an executive that is willing to be collaborative and make sure that they are working with every single person that wants to get things done. This is the approach and the vision that we also have to have in the governor's office. And so we have a lot to do in a 2-year session, but I truly believe that it is absolutely possible when you make sure that everyone on the team knows exactly what needs to get done, that we are organizing now to make sure we build in that trifecta, and that yes, we need a segregated fund for childcare costs.
What they said. We know how to solve this problem, right? We absolutely know how to solve this problem, and we absolutely have the money to do it. Don't let these Republicans who set $2 billion to data centers and $3 billion to Foxconn tell us that we don't have the money for our babies and our children. We have endless money to hurt people with prisons. But what if we never had opportunity gaps form? And the way that you do that is by investing in early childhood. There is nothing more important. And I am proud to be the public education champion in this race. I've earned the backing of WEAC, our state's teachers union. And part of the reason why they told me was because of the strength of my advocacy and work and leadership on early childhood education. And part of the reason that I've been able to be effective on that issue is because of you, because of the organizing work that we have done together over the past several years. There are people in suits. I sit on the Joint Finance Committee and travel around the state and listen to people come and they testify about this, that, and the other thing. And the one thing that every single employer has said is, and also childcare, whatever they're there to testify about, and also childcare. We did that. You guys did that. So I really thank you for doing that. If we want the Wisconsin that all of us deserve, that we have been yearning for the last 15 years, we've got to build it together. So I really want you to think about making sure we have a governor who can not just beat Tom Tiffany, but is actually ready to go and make the change. This is the work that I've been able to do as a legislative leader, as a nonprofit advocate, as an attorney and a small business owner, and just an average citizen, to turn progressive ideas into law again and again in tough political environments. Make no mistake, even if we have a Democratic trifecta, it won't be easy. What we need is the political will. And I have been willing to exercise that again and again to get things done for people like us, because we deserve it. And our kids certainly do too.